All right. So Penn State and Illinois. Penn State won the competition. No, they did not. So right after the competition finished, Penn State was announced that they won. You know what? It was like, oh, sweet. Okay, Illinois is close competition, neck and neck the whole time. And then we get some information. I had some insider information. Someone texted me, was like, Illinois actually won the competition because there was a start value error for Matt Comier's
Mhm.
floor routine. They had him evaluated at a 6.7 on the pro score when it was a 5.7. So that five and a half, that 4 or 5.5 tenths difference that Penn State won by, that was just flipped on its head,
Mhm.
and Illinois won. And then you see a release from Penn State saying bad news. Actually, Illinois won the competition. So that was just very interesting. One, this doesn't happen often, and I was happy that it was rectified because in the moment I was like, are they actually going to clear this up and give Illinois the W? So I was really happy because I
Mhm.
was already getting my questions ready for for Justin and everything, being like, oh, how do you feel with the start value? You get the loss, and then a couple hours later, it's like, oh, never mind, you won. So boom, scratch that. So that's enough on the error of the competition. But Gio, tell me what you thought about the competition this weekend with Penn State and Illinois.
I mean, it was a nail biter right until the last routine on high bar, and I mean, Illinois just showed grit and tenacity when they were in that building, and it was really fun to see, just to see the focus and them clean it up on the last three events, because the first three events they were a little shaky, a little nervous, and they ran behind a little bit. And with the score being what it was and what it was showing during the competition, it could have been easy for Illinois to have been like, oh, we're not going to be able to catch up because we're 2, 3 points behind the whole
Yep.
meet. But I mean, they just slowly and surely, they went in and they
Chipped away.
cut the lead down event by event. Yep, chipped away, and they they got it together and they ended up with the W. It might have been 3, 4 hours late, but they got the
Yeah.
W, and that just shows how much they fought through the meet, even if we talked about keeping it close.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's this is an example of why that matters, because you never know what's going to happen, and if you keep it close, I mean, you get one fall on one event, and that could turn the whole meet around. So this is just a good example of being able to do what you do and not let the outcome control what you show. So I love that about Illinois. And what did you see in this competition that you
Oh
liked?
man, I saw so much great stuff from Illinois. They well, I actually, to be honest, I saw a lot of good stuff from both teams. For me
Hmm.
personally, I thought this was, at least from what I saw. Again, the coverage was a little. We talked about this, as we were
Hmm.
watching the competition. The coverage was a little all over the place. It was a double dual meet, which I love. I love them, but sometimes they would be clicking from women's gymnastics and then show like 2 seconds of men's and go back to women's or vice versa. So it was a little hard to
Hmm.
follow, like to watch. But my takeaway was that one, Penn State looked as good as they've ever looked, in my book. And then it was my first time
Hmm.
watching Illinois, and Illinois really turned in some great performances. And like you said, they came in clutch at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Those last two rotations, again, they could have easily been like, man, we just can't close the gap enough. You know what I mean? Because they
Hmm.
were only making up like on the last three events, like 3, 4, 5 tenths an event, but that mattered at the end because we
Hmm.
beat the Penn State by a fair amount on parallel bars, just enough, and then just enough on high bar as well to come away with the win. So it was a fun competition to watch. I love the addition of Michael Jura from Penn State, because
Hmm.
dude, he his start values aren't there on for the national team quite on everything, but man, I would love to see him be able to get those opportunities eventually if he can get his start values up. But
Mhm.
because he just looks so great, his gymnastics is just it's beautiful to
Mhm.
watch, so flowy, great lines, the best giant Diam maybe. It's just beautiful. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was just really happy to see his addition back into the lineup. You know what I mean? Like he competed last weekend, but he won 3 events. First time out, first time, well, second time, first
Mhm.
time competing at Rec Hall this year. So for me, it was just really
Mhm.
great to watch him compete. It was great to see Illinois, just come back to win at the end. Because at the end of the day, I'm not rooting for anyone. I just want to see good gymnastics and seeing good close
Mhm.
gymnastics and seeing athletes performing well under those circumstances. It's just what sport is all about to see, seeing athletes rise to the occasion. Because it isn't even like Penn State necessarily dropped the ball on the last couple events. They were still doing good
No, yeah.
gymnastics, but Illinois just
Mhm.
did a little bit better, and they were able to really come out with the win. And at Rec Hall, which is not an easy place to win at, especially with the double duel and having the fans more engaged and more involved, and the women competitors cheering them on as well, especially when their competition finished. So overall, it was a really fun competition to watch. I do think that Illinois and Penn State are still those teams that are probably in that 5 to 7 range. I don't know right now if they're going to be competitive with someone like Michigan quite yet. Illinois start fast, I think, are comparable, but I do think they do need to clean up a little bit. Their
Mhm.
execution isn't where it could be, but again, it's early in the season. I would anticipate that will clean up. But they haven't broken 400 yet. Penn State hasn't broken 400 yet. So that's why I would just have them at that tier below, the top 3, 4 teams right now.
Mhm. Yeah. With that being said, though, I think Penn State and Illinois are one of the most closely matched teams, like with the matchup that they have. And so I'm gonna love watching them compete against each other all year, just because they're similar teams with, they have competitive start value. Both their executions are just a little
Yeah.
low, and if they can both get that up, it's just a question of who will get that up first and who will get that up higher. And that's the team that will go to national
Yeah.
finals. So, because that's gonna be fun to watch, just to see them fight for that spot and watch who wins. I think that's gonna be a fun matchup to watch the whole year, and I'm excited for it. That's gonna be
No,
fun.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking forward to, like, I know Illinois, they have some seniors that are really looking to finish out their career strong. They're foreign athletes with Hamish Carter and Clay Mason Stevens. I know they want more. They want that Big Ten title. They really really want it.
Hmm.
So I know that they're really gonna grind to get it this year. And I think
Hmm.
for Penn State, if they can get a little bit more out of Josh Carnes, who again, he can be a super freshman, but he's been a little bit inconsistent. But the thing is, he hadn't competed in a couple years, because he was dealing with injuries toward the tail end of his junior career. So I think he just needs to get back in the rhythm of competition because he can do great
Hmm.
gymnastics. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like when these teams are hitting all over 85%, because that will these competitions are going to be within 2 to 3 points from like 6, 7 teams. You know what I mean? So I'm really
Hmm.
looking forward to that. And to be honest, so far this was the most exciting weekend for me of the season so
Hmm.
far. So I just hope that the NCAA keeps producing weekends like this to where I actually got a chance to watch almost every competition, which was a lot of gymnastics to watch.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot, but it's fun
It
to
is fun
watch.
to
So,
watch. It is fun to
not
watch.
complaining.
Yeah, but let's keep this ball rolling. We had a chance to sit down with the Stanford head coach Tom Gleamy just to see how things have been. He's got a super talented roster, and he's been the national coach of the year the last 2 seasons. So yeah, let's tune in.